Okay, just to start, we're finally at an event I know you have all heard of. Okay, I know you've heard of 9/11. So, you've heard of 9/11. What do you know about it? If you just had to say, okay, here's what 9/11 is.
Twin Towers were attacked by terrorists.
Twin Towers attacked by terrorists. Perfect. That's a great one. Okay. Anybody else? There were other places attacked. Anybody heard of any of the other places? Yes. So the World Trade Center is the Twin Towers. That's right, though. The Twin Towers are kind of like at the World Trade Center. There is Pentagon.
Yeah.
Yep. So Pentagon's attacked, and there's another plane that also crashes, which you'll learn about. Okay. About 3,000 people died. 3,000 Americans. It's more deadly than Pearl Harbor, which says something. And so just to start, I'm going to show you a quick little video about the World Trade Center Twin Towers specifically. It's the most iconic part of, that's a weird word to use maybe, but like the most well known because the Twin Towers are these symbols, okay? So I want you to be able to see some visuals because we're at the point in history where everything is filmed. And so this is all caught by hundreds, thousands of cameras, even in an era without smartphones. Okay, so I'll just play this, a little bit of the visual of the World Trade Center Twin Towers. That's why they call it the Twin Towers.
September 11th, 2001. A day of grief. A day of courage. This is how that day unfolded.
My daughter called me. She said, plane just flew into the World Trade Center. It's not real. It's got to be a Piper Cub or some clown was flying down the river.
At 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 from Boston, with 92 aboard, traveling at a speed of 470 miles per hour, strikes the North Tower of the World Trade Center complex. Within minutes, officials coordinate the citywide emergency response. Their base of operations is a state-of-the-art command center located on the 23rd floor of 7 World Trade Center. With one tower in flames, the tragedy is only beginning. It is 9:03 when United Airlines Flight 175, with 65 aboard, traveling at the speed of 590 miles per hour, smashes into the South Tower of the World Trade Center. This aircraft strikes the corner of the South Tower. It rips a diagonally shaped gash from the 84th to the 78th floors. The South Tower lasts only 56 minutes before it succumbs at 9:59 a.m. The dust cloud billows outward for blocks. Victims stagger away. At 10:28, the television mast atop the North Tower spears straight down.
Once the collapse started, there really wasn't any way to stop it. It was just going to go all the way down once it got started.
Chaos in New York City. Power is down in Lower Manhattan. Phone lines jammed with more than 230 million calls. Hundreds of firefighters trapped in the towers. Hundreds more race to the scene. Falling debris from the collapse of the North and South Towers ignites fires in the neighboring buildings of the World Trade Center. World Trade 4, 5, and 6 are ablaze.
So this complex here, this is the World Trade Center. All these buildings were focused on like economics and all that. And then the Twin Towers are those, but they're so big, they destroy these other buildings in the World Trade Center when they collapse.
World Trade Center, the building housing the city's command center, burns unchecked for 7 hours. At 5:20, it collapses. The city's emergency nerve center is destroyed.
Somewhere in that time, and it's very hard to keep track of time during this, they had been ordered to evacuate number 7 by the Port Authority. To this day, we don't know who gave that order, but whoever it was saved a lot of people's lives.
Okay. So most people who die in the attack die when the towers collapse. What ends up happening is that when the planes hit the towers, they end up destroying all but essentially one staircase in the towers. Obviously the elevators aren't working. And so the people above where the plane hits, they're okay, but they can't get out. And so they aren't able to be rescued by the time the towers collapse. Also, no one really thinks the towers will collapse. There are hundreds of firefighters and police officers in the towers when they fall, because again, no one really expected it. They're trying to rescue the people stuck inside, but that means when they do collapse, all those hundreds of first responders, most of them are killed. And so that's part of why the death toll is so high. 9/11, I know you guys, I was only 6 when that happened, so I have like vague memories of being in school when this happened, like the teacher rolled the TV out, as you did in 2001. I know you all weren't alive then, but your lives have been affected by 9/11 probably more than any other event that's happened in America, because as you're going to talk about, you're going to see today, 9/11, the response to it really shapes the next 20 years of American foreign policy, but not only that, how the government, what they're able to do in the US in terms of surveillance, in the name of safety. There's all sorts of impacts. And I would say people get as angry about 9/11 as, from what I understand, people got about Pearl Harbor. Now, what is one of the big differences between the Pearl Harbor attack and the 9/11 attacks? They're both surprises. Yes. Yes. And so Pearl Harbor, almost all of the people who are killed are in the military, which is still awful, but there is some sense that if you're in the military, that kind of thing is a possibility. But with the 9/11 attacks, almost everyone killed are civilians. They're not in the military, right? And typically, that is seen as worse than violence against military targets. I mean, the morning of 9/11, everything is fine. America feels very good about itself, and now 3,000 Americans are killed in a terrorist attack. Okay, what I'm going to start us out with is just a little gallery walk, nothing crazy, of what I consider to be the 6 kind of, if you had to break up 9/11 into 6 parts, what I would consider to be most important. Okay, so you're going to get a little overview. There's one on the World Trade Center, one on the Pentagon, one on Flight 93, which is the plane that is hijacked but doesn't hit its target, one on how we respond militarily, and one on how we respond kind of non-militarily. Okay, so this is nothing crazy, just a one-page thing, just front and back. I know y'all don't have your Chromebooks anymore, so I've got paper copies. Here you go. And so I will get the clipboards out. There you go. And so I put up 2 copies of each of them around the room. Just, I didn't know how many of you would be here today. So just spread out a little bit for me. Just stop at each of these. They're not super long. And answer the questions. And this is going to give you a really good overview of 9/11 as a whole. So come grab a clipboard for me. When you get finished, just hang out for a couple minutes until everybody has a chance to get done, and then we'll talk about it. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah. let me know if you need help on any of the questions. Thank you. One interesting thing, when you get to the World Trade Center one, you'll see that the first, when the first aircraft hit, people thought it was an accident, because nobody thought the terrorists would fly a plane into a building. It was not until the second one hit that everyone realized what was going on. Pleasure. So, it's Al Qaeda. I guess they didn't put the name in there. Anyway, the group is called Al Qaeda. They are Islamic terrorists from Saudi Arabia and other countries, basically. Oh, yeah, they are. Yeah, that's one. And that is, that's Osama. He's kind of there. The guy who was everything. So this is that mark down here. So obviously the flames didn't go where it was supposed to because the passengers fought back. So just tell me, where do people think maybe it was headed? Can I have you send some words in the office, and then we'll send somebody to go pick them up. Can you go pick them up for my class? Thank you. We're gonna just hang out for a few minutes and we'll talk about a few of these questions that I think are the most kind of relevant for us today or to think about.
Is this like a all? Is that what that means, like we withdrew soldiers?
Yeah. You could say we killed Osama bin Laden eventually, we withdrew in 2021. There's a few things. Yeah.
You saw about that.
Yes, so they hijacked it. No one knows for sure where it was going to go, but it was going to go somewhere important, like the other ones. And so the passengers fighting back stopped that from happening. So it crashed in the field, which you didn't see there, because I guess at some point there's a couple theories. The main theory is that they were about to get in the the terrorists were flying the plane, and the terrorists knew that they were gonna, and so they figured it was better to crash the plane and it was kill people on the plane as opposed to like letting them get the plane back and landing it. So, but they're like widely, the passengers are considered American heroes. Because they basically, I mean, they stopped the plane from hitting the White House or Congress or wherever. we'll discuss in just 2 or 3 minutes. It's okay. Can you, if you don't mind, when you run these back to the office, 30 minutes somewhere else? I know everybody thinks me and Mr. Lyons are the same, but he probably does, so thank you. Thank you for getting by. I don't know what though, Mr. Lyons is doing something right, I guess. Okay, so I know there's a couple people still working, so that's totally fine. You can take a few minutes if you need it. For everybody else, I'm going to go ahead and give you the last thing we're going to take a look at today. So if you'll just pass these back to me. No rush for those still working, we'll have plenty of time. So just pass those back for me. And also real quick, before I kind of explain that to you, I do want to show you this clip. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. So during 9/11, you didn't see this on the wall, but of course, the government immediately recognized America was under attack, and they didn't know how many more attacks there were going to be. Right, because you've already had 3. They've knocked down the Twin Towers. They've hit the Pentagon, of all places, the military hub of the entire U.S. military. And so there's real worry. Are there more terrorists? Are they going to hit the White House? Are they going to hit Congress? And so President Bush, while this is occurring, while all this is starting, he's reading books to elementary schoolers in Florida. And so he has to be told about what's happening. And so this little clip is just going to show you what is it like when they tell the president in an elementary school classroom that America is under attack. So real short, but I just want you to see it because it's very interesting historically.
Once you sound this word out, get ready. What word? Still. Yes, still. Read these words the last way. Get ready. Play. Yes, play. Get ready. Must. Yes, must. Let's read these words the fast way without making a mistake. Get ready. Kite. Yes, kite. Get ready. Kiss. Yes, kiss. 60 on page 153.
media knows that this has happened already. That's why they're filming.
Ready from the beginning of that sentence? Get ready.
She played with her goat in her house.
Go on.
She played with her goat in her yard.
Good job. Go on.
Mr. President, are you aware of the report that the plant passed in New York? Is there any talk about that?
Thank you all.
That's exactly the rolling TV that I remember being brought out in my classroom, because I was in elementary school too. And you can see everything just kind of stopped. You know, because nothing like this had happened really in American history.
Conduct a full-scale investigation. On down. Find those folks. Terrorism against international law.
And so one little clip I'll show you again. He also eventually goes to the World Trade Center, so now he knows what's happened. We're trying to respond, and so he gives this short little clip, very famous. Bush's approval rating gets up to like 91% after 9/11, and so that's Democrats and Republicans. So you can imagine, I mean, we haven't seen an approval rating that high since, and we probably won't for the next 50 years. But this attack was so devastating. Americans really united, no matter their political affiliation.
I want you all to know, we can't go any louder. I want you all to know that America today is on bended knee in prayer for the people whose lives were lost here, for the workers who work here, for the families who mourn. This nation stands with the good people of New York City and New Jersey and Connecticut as we mourn the loss of thousands of our citizens. I can hear you. I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you. And the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
Kind of like the most iconic line that he says probably, that the people who knock these buildings down will hear from all of us soon. And they do, very soon. You saw, which country did we invade almost immediately after the attacks? In the Middle East. Which country did you see? I think it was on, so it's on the military response. So we invade a Middle Eastern country looking for Osama bin Laden. Which country was that? Starts with an A. It's a long name. Afghanistan. So we invade Afghanistan really soon after in a response to 9/11. Okay? So if you haven't already, take a look. We've got 5 political cartoons here. Okay? The questions for each are the same. So this is they're all obviously related to 9/11. There's both positive ones and a couple negative ones, because while everyone supports the recovery from 9/11, that this was a horrible event, what comes after is controversial, especially what happens kind of with our military, with some of the laws that are passed. So take a little time, see what you think about these cartoons, try and tell me what you think the author's trying to say, and then with about 5-10 minutes left in class, we will talk about a few of the things you saw in your gallery walk, and we'll talk about a couple of these cartoons. And so that gives us probably we get about 10-12 minutes on this one. Let me know if you are looking at these and you're not quite sure what they're saying, but something about it. The political cartoons in the modern day are usually, they're not quite as complex as some of the older ones we've looked at, since they're more modern, so they're kind of communicating with people who are more similar to us, I think.
We'll say 12 minutes.